in a box that's too small to breathe in. I shall overcome and rise. When I'm done wiping off my tears, I shall give myself permission to laugh. I will flow into a whole new way of being in the world, empowered and healed. We are different. We are diverse. It's time to think about empowerment differently. The power of moving forward is fueled by colorful connections. From now on, the future will be written by all of us. But now, with my empowered voice.
GD, I think you're still mute yourself. I think you have to unmute yourself.
Oh, there you go. That's a beautiful video, isn't it? It's a beautiful video. Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another series of the Female Empowerment Summit, live from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. With me today is Agita Pasaribu, all the way from London. Decided to wake up a little bit more early today and join us. We had another speaker who unable to make it today due to unforeseen circumstances, but nevertheless, we would like to take the journey continues from here to the next baton itself. And today we're going to focus slightly deeper into an area that's been untamed by many people, which is in the nutshell of a digital taboo, which is today we're going to speak about cyberbullying. And my name is GD. I'm the moderator for today's section. And certainly we look forward for everybody to participate for this section. Please feel free to post in your questions. We are more than happy to take each and everybody and answer as much as questions as possible within the time set we have. Anyway, good morning, Agita.
Good morning, JD. Thank you.
Very good morning.
Very good morning. Thank you so much for inviting, and it's been an honor to be invited for this summit. Absolutely, and I'm looking forward to share. And I think it's better to have a discussions. You know, I'm very keen to have a discussion. So whoever who's seeing us right now, so feel free, join our conversations, leave your comments, ask anything, and just open up a conversation. So I would love to hear from you as well.
Okay, Gita, since you advocate a lot of topic within cyberbullying, my first question is, what is the perception of a person when a female speaks about cyberbullying?
The perception's one thing when people think about, cyberbullying is all negative comments on social media. Very simple. That's a very general perspectives. There's a very general opinions, and what majority of people understand and know, it's simply in the basic knowledge of verbal harassment that happens on social media. But actually, way beyond that. You know, although we do not have any definitions yet properly in any kind of regulations when it comes to what is exactly the definitions of cyberbullying, but it's a little pieces in every single abusive and harassment that probably already existed in in a policies or in acts in a country. But however, we do not have any clear one single definitions to define cyberbullying. So there's a lot of different experts come up with definitions of cyberbullying itself.
Interesting.
Yeah, but then the idea is basically to, I think, make people also aware that what happened to them on social media, what happened to them on the internet, it is also a part of the cyberbullying, and that's an online abuse. It's an harassment, and that's what I think our conversation has to be, dig into today.
Okay, the other thing is that actually one of the questions that always I had in mind, what makes you bring into this area of work? Because majority ladies, they'll go into other areas which is
Yeah.
non-risk, but what draws you into this particular area? I mean, you're an activist in this area, you speak a lot on this area. So what draws you into this particular topic?
I'm a victim of cyberbullying itself. So I came from my very personal experience. I know it's really difficult being a victim to be able to simply report this to police, for example, or simply to speak up to someone, or simply to just I think getting a help even really difficult. Because when it comes to law enforcement, we designed the legal tools to not completely in the victim side. So, for example, if someone is being sexually abused online, the question is going to be not in the victim side. So we have to do a lot of things in order for us as a victim to basically providing a lot of evidence. So I can tell what is happening in Indonesia. Basically, this is what we called a crime base by the reporting crime base. Okay, so how it's different between reporting crime base with cases, for example, like a robbery in the bank. So with or without any report from the victim side, the police will be able to investigate the case. But cases like cyberbullying, cases like domestic violence, online abuse, harassment, it has to be a victim has to report first, then the police will be able to investigate and prosecute further. So I think we understand the difference, right?
Quite
Yeah.
interesting. I mean, it's quite interesting. So if you look at it at a very broad perspective, since you've been an activist in this area, there should be a target group by these people. Their motives are different, yeah, definitely, but there will be a particular target group. That, from your point, who are likely to be targeted for such cyberbullying, from your point of view?
Everyone who's right now online are a prospective victim. So basically, the moment when you have a social media account, the moment when you have your phone, I think you are a prospective target, really. Because cyberbullying itself, it is not entirely just about the verbal harassment. So the moment when you received um, an intended image, or an unwanted image on social media, and then you've been receiving that for a couple of times from strangers that completely you have no idea, but you have to see that on your Instagram DM, right? So I mean, you see that this is already a part of the cyberbullying. Because why? It makes you feel uncomfortable to receive that, right? And so probably the person is showing their genital area, and then they ask you to do the same thing, or they ask you to you know do a certain things, which is sometimes people also not simply asking to sending something, but they ask you to do something else. um, so this is one of the cases that is also raising since the COVID-19, but people not really aware that this is also a part of cyberbullying, which is a revenge porn that I would like to also emphasize on this. So sadly and very, very unfortunate, revenge porn right now, it becomes one of like the tool for someone to blackmailing another persons, and then they actually utilizing this for monetizing this. So this is also part of the kind of a job that they do. Persons is grooming another persons. They kind of like chat as a friend, strangers online, and then they starts to have video call and get to know each other very well, and then asking for doing some they call it paps, to kind of like showing something, and then very intimate pictures. Apparently the person is recording and taking pictures of that, and get into the time when the perpetrators say like, okay, look, I have a lot of your intimate pictures. I want you to send this amount of the money. If it's not, I'm going to share all of these pictures online, because I've already followed your friends. I've already tagged all of your your close friends. I know everything about you. I can simply share all of your pictures and I can ruin your reputations. And if that happens, it is not just one person, it is the whole entire persons, the family, could be the friends in your community. And then that, if that thing happened, and majority of the things that when this happened to the victim, the friends is not there, and it turned out to be the questions come back to the victim and says like, why you did you do that? Why? I mean, I don't know that you could do something like that. So what happened so far, and this is what we've been doing with Bully Indonesia, we provide their emotional support, because we know that in that stage, majority of the people who support was supposed to be the support system, they're not there. And this is the crucial part, because that's where it goes to the depressions, it goes to suicidal thought, leading into suicidal thought, leading to suicidal attempt. Because imagine if your pictures, if your nude pictures on social media, everybody can access it 24/7 hours, anytime, anywhere, right? And it ruins the whole entire career. It ruins the whole entire perspective.
Just to bring in a little bit, sorry, I'm just going to jump in.
Yeah, sure.
Because earlier you mentioned, the community, the surrounding of a victim. Are they intentionally or unintentionally has the participation, or are they out of awareness of such incident happen? How do we go about? Because the challenge is like what you mentioned, like when a person get bullied, it's not about who is being bullied. It's like you go back to the person who's getting bullied and say, oh, why you do this, why you do that, but not questioning the other side part of the fence.
Yeah.
We always go to the victim.
True.
We always go to the victim, but not the attacker.
Yeah.
And I see this across, because I, like me, I do a lot of security projects and so forth, data, and I had another forum on data, so people were asking. So my question to you is, looking at such a situation where social awareness is it lack, or intentionally or unintentionally the social people, the public are unaware about it? Which is which? I'm just going to get a little bit more on this from you.
Yeah. So I always probably mention this as like a systemic abuse of power, if that makes sense. And normally when it comes to cyberbullying, and when it comes to the offenders and perpetrators, there's always an intent to harm, there is an imbalance of power, and there is like a repeated actions in there as well. And at the same time, if we can say, the motive is really different. As I said, there is an intent to harm. It could be physically, it could be mentally, it could be because the offenders or perpetrators' perspective, they feel like they have a power when they can bully someone, or when they can harass or abuse someone, either verbally or either is physically, or either sexually. All right. So they want it could be something that also from racism, and that is normally what is happening in different countries. If I speak in Indonesia, it's not really obvious, but if you see about cases like Malaysia, cases like the UK, cases like the US, racism is actually one of the main issues when it comes to why these people is actually getting abused. It could be because of if we speak about the schools, and then it could be the schools is actually majority of white populations, and then there is people from a different culture, or different country probably move there, and then that's what's normally happen within the children, within the schools community. Now, but these days, what I see, people is also taking this as an opportunity to make money.
Exactly.
So it is right now, it is not just very personal things, but it becomes a public crime. That's why I am advocating on this. That's why I am actually really focusing on these particular issues, because I know this is not just simply about mentally sick people who are abusing someone with no reason. So basically, the government in here, it's responsible to create a better online environment for every single citizens, because we don't only putting a security or a police in offline life or a real life, right? But then we have to do it as well in the online, and we have to have that certain things, because almost 90% of an online abuse and online crimes are just not being prosecuted, because it's really difficult, right? Yeah.
So okay, so you mentioned the one part it caught my attention was in school.
Yeah.
So assuming a child being cyberbullied, and it happened in the school and back home, or who should be responsible to manage if a child being cyberbullied? Who's responsible? Is it the parents? Is it the teacher? Is it the school? Or is it the community? How do we go about? Because if you look at in the
Yeah.
Malaysian context, in the
Yeah.
recent years, there's a huge spike on cyberbullying in Malaysia, especially targeting young kids,
Yeah.
mainly female. So I'm drawing back to my question is, who is responsible?
If we say in a very deep, okay, in a very, very specific, I think who is responsible is, one is the teachers, if that happens in the school. Second is the parents. But if we take our perspective way in general, it's actually the whole entire community that is responsible for what happened to our children. First, do we have that regulations that allowing the school of the probably the university to have an open and transparent reporting system in the university? Because when we speak about cyberbullying, there is always someone who witnessed that, or what we call it bystander. And how we want this bystander to not just witness and doing nothing, but becoming an upstander, the person who actually acts and do something. It could be calming the victims. It could be someone who reporting to the persons who they can trust, which is the university side, the teachers, who saying that, okay, I saw something. I saw something that's not right, and I want to report you because this person is actually getting abused, physically getting abused. So how we actually, that's why if I share this to the university, I always advocating a prevention's way, or how we can be able to also providing a bystander awareness, um, what do you call it, educations, right? Because how we be able to basically providing way and platform or tool, how then our children is actually can be able to understand, oh, something that happened to them, but not joining them. If something doesn't go right, don't join them, and then speak up, so we can help the rest of the victims probably. And this is something that is lacking in the school side and university side, because they don't see this actually as something really serious. They still see it as a traditional crime that it's just passing around, because we've been it's bullying is just like a traditional kind of a culture. There's a sad truth. um I mean, I can't really tell what's going on in Malaysia, but in Indonesia, to say, oh, it's just happened to me before. Take it easy. If that happens traditionally bullying, okay, that's fine. You only see them when you go into the school, right? But it's also harming. But what happened right now when this traditional bullying transform to the cyberbullying? Basically, every single time you open your message, your WhatsApp, you will see someone abusing you. It's 24/7, right? Especially these days, right now, we all studying from home due to COVID. So imagine if these children actually have their own WhatsApp group among their friends, among their classmates, together without any without any surveillance from the or any teachers or any lecturers actually inside the WhatsApp group. What happened to the people who's basically can be able to just enjoy their freedom to bullying to each other? So this is something that I think it's really important to also not just really focusing on to offenders or to the victims, but also to the bystanders.
Interesting. See, if you look at it, I mean, I'm going to pinch some people's, butt a little bit more. If you look at an Asian culture, when you're a victim, if let's say you're a bystander, which you said should be an upstander,
Mm-hmm.
the problem with the culture is, why should you get involved? It's their problem. It's got nothing to do with you.
True.
Focus on your study, not their
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
So how do we, even you look at in the recent years, like for instance, like sometime when I go for a dinner, this is one of the, when I go for a dinner, you will see the younger parents
Mm.
are just too busy on their mobile, and a mobile given to the child too. For me, I find it as a first level intrusion because that gives them a passage to get in. But
Yeah.
people don't realize
Mhm.
that that could be an opportunity. But sadly, the culture has been such way.
Yeah.
So the question to you is, why an upstander should get involved when, hey, it's not my problem.
True. Um, so the first thing, if we see in a moral perspective, yeah, in a moral perspective, when we see someone need help, when we see something is not right, we have that social responsibility to help. I think that's one. Um, but when we see in a legal perspective, it's actually already in our regulations and our policies. If I speak right now about in Indonesia, you actually, as a witness, you have the right to report if something goes wrong. You have the right to speak up to the police and probably providing the information to the police, so then they're aware if something that actually goes wrong. So I think there are two perspectives that I can take a look in here, which is one, moral, which is two, is illegal. But and how we shape the perspective in a general way, and how we shape the idea, and how we can be able to actually creating a better human resources, or a better human, a better person and individual. I think it's really important that these days, a moral or an EQ, or yeah, I think it has to be passed it as well to our children, because when you see the moment when cyberbullying, especially when we speak about online abuse, when we see someone is actually commenting something positive, it creates a psychology effects. People also will share something positive. But when we see one person is commenting very negatively and consider abusive and harassing, and it's also creating a chain effect, and people is going to look for the pictures, look for the video, look for the people, look for the persons, and looking for what the mistakes, and then they will start doing all of this abusive and very verbal harassment on the comment sections probably. So this is something that we have to pass the informations and acknowledge from a very beginning, from a very very childhood, because the educations that we have right now is also lacking on how young children, how people utilizing social media, utilizing their phone as a tool to communicate. Basically, digital literacy, it is not just how the person being able to turn on the computer or turn on the mobile phone and being able to communicate with each other, but digital literacy way beyond that, how we be able to respect each other's, how we be able to to utilizing the beauty of the internet and technology for a better way and for a more positive way, I guess. Are
Interesting.
you
That's
there?
good. Yeah, that's a good point. Now, before I get into the policy, I've touched on the some sensitive area like policies, and before I get to the prevention part, I have this one question. If you look at the media era evolvement, has gone so much, you know, it has gone so much. But to some point, we got into a social media where likes and comments become a popularity part of a human. So there are one group of people that says, no, this is pretty much what I'm going to do. But there's some people, this is what I'm going to do because I want to hype my popularity. Now, let's take the segment of popularity people. Like we said, in terms of pictures, putting, I've seen like, from the time you wake up till you sleep, keep on posting and posting and posting and posting, just get your likes up. How about these types of people?
Yeah.
How do we handle this kind of people who accepting that, hey, please come and cyberbully me because I just want to get my ranking up,
True. And it's actually a lot of social media influencers right now is provide like giving a challenge to their followers, and so they end up having an posting an Instagram stories and says, "Oh, can you bully me on social media? Can you just comment?" Because the way how our social media works is at the moment when someone is engaged more to one particular content, and that's going to be that's going to be the content that is going to pop up in the home feed. This is just how the algorithm works, right? So either you comment about positive things or you comment about negative things. That's how the algorithm of the Facebook is going to make your content appears. A lot of social media influencers utilizing this opportunity to just want to get a spotlight, just want to be able to survive with their content, and basically they do and everything's prank someone and do some nasty stuff on social media and just put it there. So again, in here the question is because first is about educations, and second because of we lacking of the multi-stakeholder partnership between one, the government, second with the private sector, third is with the academic entity, the parents, the NGOs. So if we see right now in a bigger scale, if the private sector, now I'm referring this to the technology companies, and now if I can say Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, they do have the responsibility to tackle this cyberbullying and online abuse and harassment on social media. I know we have a blog reporting, report abuse content. We have a restricted accounts as well, but they do in a bigger scale. This private sector not supposed to be standalone and work alone because they have to work together with the government. In this case, things like that on social media it's going really really wrong sometimes, and it is I understand that platform like social media does not have the responsibility to to do anything related to policy or legal consequences or law enforcement, but in the same time in this particular situations and with all the technology advancement, I think we have to come up and create a better partnership between governments and the and the private sector, because obviously we share so much data on the social media that we have without the government aware about the bureaucracy and everything. So we need those informations and we need people to actually report and to be able to actually reducing the number of people who just utilizing a social media just for their own sake, meaning to sharing all the negative stuff, to share simply just about to get or to raise money or to raise popularity out of that. Um, there should be something behind it. It could be a motive of someone, financial motive. It could be motive of just humiliating the other persons, which is that's it could be a very mentally, it's a mental issues. And how we can do this, we need a support system to do that. It could be a mental support, it could be something law. But if there is a regulations, a very strict regulations that implemented in the country, and a very strict regulations and says in the platform you're not supposed to be abusive and providing a negative contents, negative, or harassing someone on social media, this kind of content was not supposed to be viral, right? Because we okay, yes, we are the one who create the contents, we put everything on social media. Facebook does not have a content that becomes a viral, but Facebook has the responsibility to be able to take down or remove the content. So in order for this particular issues can be able to implement it really well, they have to work together with the government. Because obviously right now we don't have, probably the United Nations does not have a internet law guidelines that happening everywhere in the world. And Facebook and majority of technology company, they based in California, right? In Silicon Valley, they actually comply with the Californian Act when it comes to social media. And then what is happening there, it could be really different. We speak culturally about Malaysia, Indonesia perspective or Asian perspective. When we see someone is posting a completely nude pictures about someone else, in our culture, it is completely wrong. It is a defamation, right? Someone is trying to damaging the reputations of one other person without their consent. But probably in a someone in a different perspective in a Western world, it could be something as just as a freedom of speech.
Human rights and freedom of speech. No,
All right.
okay. I'm going to throw you another question. It could be sensitive, but I think we need to understand.
Mhm.
Do you think political campaign could categorize as cyberbullying for the public?
Interesting. Okay. Um, Political campaign. I mean, I can see the cyberbullying is every single, in a sense or in general, for and how I look at it. Cyberbullying is everything that abusive and harassing. So but it's a very, very subjective, you know. So for example, because we're very close, GD. So when you posted something and then I was like, oh, come on, GD, I think you have to lose some weight before you posting it. But because you know me, so you don't really take it as the acts of bullying on social media, because you will say that, oh, Agita was just being genuine. Probably I had to lose weight, right? But if someone, a completely a stranger, left that comment and giving you a DM probably on Instagram, how do you feel it's going to be really completely different?
Indeed.
Oh, this is insulting to me, right? I mean, I don't know who you are, and all of a sudden you're telling me I have to lose weight. So this is different two perspective. That's why cyberbullying it becomes a very victims oriented, because how the victims feels about themselves and how when they see about this, is it very subjective or not? If it's really annoyed for them, if it's really makes them really uncomfortable, does it actually does it really makes them losing any dignity on social media? So that's why even the law right now, it creates to kind of like make it as a report victims cases, because it is very subjective again. And when it comes to political strategy, of course, we have to ask whether or not they actually take it really seriously about this. But yes, if the candidate says like, well, I'm getting bullied online, and I got probably blackmailing every single day. My family is being tracked online because I am, going as this, providing this campaign and stuff like that. So it could be a cyberbullying. It could be cyberbullying, right?
Interesting. It's a very good thought process you have put in place. Okay, I'm going to touch a little bit on policy, which is I hate, but what I notice in the region, even you take cybersecurity, it's pretty much in general still. But drilling down to cyberbully, do you think any government would take cyberbully as a legislation by itself, or it's just a countermeasure or rather precaution measure in the area of media? Which you think is it should be a legislation, or is it just a precaution instruction or a precaution measure to avoid ramping in a social media? Which one you should, from your perspective? I mean, you've been an advocate on this area, so which should be the good ones?
Yeah. So, I mean, the good one is obviously is all about the combinations. You need to have educations or social media code of conduct, for example. And the other one is obviously if that happens, so there needs to be a policy that the basically a legal instruments when it comes to regulating internet law. And I think that's I can put it on there because when we see the technology advancement right now, it is not we can't simply disconnect ourselves anymore on social media. And no matter what you do, and for example, you requested Facebook to take down or removing your content, there's always a digital footprint there. Your data is going to be there forever, right? The moment when, for example, you posted something on Insta story and you think it's going to be gone in 24 hours. No, what happened of the thousands of followers that you have probably already screenshot that, probably already saved that images. And if I speak about myself, my followers is none compared to someone who's a social media influencer. Imagine social media influencers have millions of followers on Instagram. And now we have a media as well. And the moment when it's actually become a viral, the media is going to put it up because they also want to get a viral content, right? So I think it has to be regulated, especially right now these days. We are getting towards the era of artificial intelligence and everything. This AI, it could be really, really powerful tool if we are putting a very high quality and good data. But if it's not a good data, it's going to be probably harming us in the end, because how the AI it's going to see it is all about the data. And then again, it's all about the policy, how far this data it's going to be utilized in the end, and what kind of analysis that AI is providing to us. So I think if we see in the bigger scale, education is important. So people are aware that if they want to see people, if they want to see them as a normal people, like the moment when you step up from your home, just as normal people. So do and act accordingly on social media. So someone is probably, because there's a lot of people in the world that basically they thought online world is a completely different world with a real one. They thought this is the world that you are not going to be persecuted. There is no legal consequences online. And you can be having a fake profile online and being completely anonymous, which is true. And you can just get away of it. But you have an IP address. And right now the technology and the national cybersecurity, of course, working with very talented persons to be able to capture and take every single things. But as a human being and as a very individual as well, I think we have to act accordingly, both in our real life and online life in the same time, because it's all about you. It's very easy to look about Agita Pasaribu, just simply Googling, and then you know everything about me. So everyone do a due diligence, double check, not going to your home anymore, but they do it online screening. So if you want to put your public image good with everyone, so make sure your online public image is also really good as well, I think.
Interesting. Okay, I'm just going to track a little bit of this conversation. It's been heat up. I've been sweating a little bit. Um, you are founder of Bully ID. Could you share a little bit what's that initiative is all about? And just a quick answer. Hang on, sorry. So for those who are listening, please point your questions. We will take another 1 or 2 questions. I'm going to ask Agita. Then we'll get into all the public questions that we have. We'll address each and everybody. So feel free. Those listeners are listening to us. Please feel free to put in your question. So again, Agita, just share a little bit about Bully ID. I'm kind of interested. You say it's a lot of jargon word you have used: AI integration, psychology, doctors, lawyers. I find it very amused. Let me hear for the horse mouth itself.
Very simple, actually. Very, very simple. The way our what we're doing currently right now is we're providing a support system for everyone. So we actually started very, very, very early, and then simply because we wanted everyone getting the right and relevant support from people who basically an expert of providing the support. So you not end up talking to strangers on social media and doing something wrong because you don't know what is happening really. Either it's based on your mentally situations or your mental situations, or based on the policies in the country. Um, so we're providing psychology and providing lawyers online. Basically, people can go to our websites. They can speak with the experts, we call it. They can speak with a psychologist. They can speak with the lawyers according to who they feel like they want to speak to. And they can do it online. They can do it with a live chat, audio, video call, and basically that's the major things that we actually providing right now. In the future, and then in the couple of months, we hopefully it's going to be there. We integrated artificial intelligence in our platform, and so people actually, when you have no idea what's going on, AI will help you out to screen and to analyze your social media activities, followed by some of kind of like a self-assessment questions. So in case you don't know who you have to talk to, either I have to speak with a psychologist, or either I have to speak with a lawyer or solicitors, or do actually I have to consult with those two? So the AI will actually guide you better. So this is also a transparency that we would like to have it, because um, majority of the psychologists, they're providing you a counseling sessions for like 36 times, 54 6 times, and you don't know. You don't know how much does it cost. You don't know how long it actually makes us feel better. So this is way we providing the AI. So the moment when AI be allowing to analyze your social media activities, followed by your self-assessment, it's providing you a better analysis and giving you the relevant support system, and you understand what is actually the best for you.
Oh, thank you so much. It's quite so it's quite integrated, and it's an ongoing process. I'm just going to catch 2 questions that came out. One question says, if you look at cyber troll, what would be the best move? Should we just ignore? Should we just delete, or should we just block?
Okay.
If any of these people get into a cyber troll?
Yeah. So if you're getting if you're getting bullied online, or you are getting any abusive or harassment content, first, do not respond. Okay, do not respond, and do not act accordingly. What, for example, if they ask you to do something, no, do not. So don't do anything. Do not respond them. Do not reply them. Second, take a screenshot. Take a screenshot of any pictures or any voice notes or any comments, anything. Take a screenshot. Take it as an evidence. Third, you have an options if that happens on social media or Instagram, for example. You have options to report, to block, to restrict. Okay. So if you want to report and then you report to the platform and says this is abusive, you're actually helping the platform to understand better. If you want to block, it means you're not going to basically see any more kind of content from this particular account. If you want to restrict is the tool that Instagram provide. If you know anyone in your in your community, but this person tend to always giving you a negative content on your social media, so you want to restrict the person. So then when the person is actually commenting on your platform or your photos, they will ask your permissions whether you want that you have to approve it first, so you just restrict it. So do that in the third step. Fourth, speak to someone that you trust and someone who experienced to be able to help you out. Because when it comes to cyber trolls, it's normally really draining mentally,
Indeed.
especially if that happens multiple times, and if that happens with from different people. I mean, imagine if you are a public figure and you have a million of followers, and then 2,000 comments are actually talking negatively about you. That's going
You're
to be
bad. You're
that's going to
bad.
be mentally draining. And if you are following this Korean thing, I believe that you remember what happened to Suli last year,
Mhm.
and then she committed suicide because of the cyberbullying things that it's actually happened to a person, since quite a lot of issues that we have in here. So speak to someone that you can trust and being able to be your support system. And if this escalating really really badly, I always advocating and everyone to report to the police and providing the evidence that you already have it.
Interesting. Thank you so much, Agita. I think I've squeezed the last straw orange juice out of the brain. I'm sure everybody has taken a good note. This is where we said the empowerment was given to you. You decide what you need to do. So the power is in your hand. How we're going to move about, how we're going to run our daily life and so forth. Again, thank you so much for your time. I think that's pretty much we have the last 1 minute to route it out. There comes the uh, online police lady who's going to tell us. Thank you so much. Thank you for stopping. GD, enough. That's very
I'm
fiery.
here already next to you, so you cannot get away. I'm coming to each and every session so that we can wrap it up. Thank you very much for everyone who is joining this session. I know it's a timing like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so just so busy everyone, but I see already there are requests to rewatch the show. So if you want to rewatch the show and listen to it again, just go to the YouTube channel or the Facebook page. You'll find every information on the website. And thank you very much for being here. We had a lot of comments. Sangari is writing that most of the accounts that cyberbullying go anonymous, and that allows them to be less civil and careful of their words and actions. So they are anonymate. How do you say the
Yeah.
anonymate
Anonymous.
themselves, right? So they don't write their names. And Mohammed Hashim writes, I remember doing a cyberbullying PSA several months ago before lockdown. So that's his feedback. Okay, Shilpa is writing, trolling is a huge issue in India too. People have got death threats too in India. And Natasha was bringing on some kind of nice, Natasha is writing because she is in an organization which is fighting against bullying. So similar work like you do there, Agita. So maybe you can connect. Those who are victims of cyberbullying or come across cyberbullying cases can report to MC reporting line. And she's giving here the number quoted on the Star Online. So she's taking it out from the Star Online. And Malaysia is ranked second highest country in Asia for cyberbullying among
Shall we
youth.
give an award? Shall we give an award?
Yeah, I don't think that's a nice award, but yeah, we can fight against it and take it down from the list, right? So that's the goal. And Ipati is saying very relevant issue indeed, and thank you for the great insights. Very, very useful. I really wanted to bring this into the picture because we are working and moving towards cyberbullying place and space, because we are all going online and everyone is pushed to be online. So I wrap up this session. We have to close because I have to rush for my next session. Thank you very much. Thank you for the audience, and see you soon at another session, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Agita.
Thank you so much, Judy and Andrea. Take care, everyone.
Thank you, Andrea. Have a good one. Bye then. Thank you. Bye.
It began with a bold vision to build KL Metropolis, a development that would establish a new international trade and exhibition district in Malaysia, built in partnership with the government by NASA Group's property arm, NASA TTDI. The crown jewel of this grand vision is the Malaysia International Trade and Exhibition Centre, the preferred international destination for exhibitions and events. Like the fine gold and silver threads of the Songket weave that inspired its facade design, MyTech is the embodiment of refined craftsmanship, creativity and precision. As Malaysia's largest exhibition centre, MyTech's functional spaces are unprecedented. Primed for exceptional displays, surrounded by state-of-the-art facilities and amenities. This iconic structure affirms a commitment